Hey Siri, set a timer until 8:50.
I set your timer alarm for 8:50 a.m.
Eugene Onegin. Pétri de vanité, il avait encore plus de cette espèce de orgueil qui fait avouer avec la même indifférence les bons comme les mauvaises actions suite d'un sentiment de supériorité peut être imaginaire, tiré d'une lecture particulière. Dedication. Not thinking of the proud world's pleasure, but cherishing your friendship's charm, I would have wished a finer treasure to pledge my token to your name, one worthy of your soul's perfection, the sacred dreams that fill your gaze, your verse's limpid, live complexion, your noble thoughts and simple ways. But let it be. Take this collection of sundry chapters as my suit, half humorous, half pessimistic, blending the plain and idealistic. Amusements yield the careless fruit of sleepless nights, light inspirations, born of my green and withered years, the intellect's cold observations, the heart's recollection, writ in tears. 1. My uncle, man of firm convictions, by falling gravely ill he's won a due respect for his afflictions, the only clever thing he's done. May his example profit others, but God, what a deadly boredom, brothers, to tend a sick man night and day, not daring once to steal away. And oh, how base to pamper grossly, and entertain the nearly dead, to fluff the pillows for his head, and pass him medicines morosely. While thinking under every sigh, the devil take you, uncle die. Just so a youthful rake reflected, just so a youthful flake, just so, two, just so a youthful rake reflected, as through the dust by post he flew, by mighty Zeus's will elected, sole heir to all the kin he knew, Ludmila's and Ruslan's adherents, without a full word's interference. May I present, as we set sail, the hero of my current tale. Onegin, my good friend and brother, was born beside the Neva span, where maybe, reader, you began, or sparkled in one way or other. I too there used to saunter forth, but found it noxious in the north. 3. An honest man who'd served sincerely, his father ran up debts galore. He gave a ball some 3 times yearly, until he had no means for more. Fate watched Eugene in his dependence. At first Madame was in attendance, and then Monsieur took on the child, a charming lad, though somewhat wild. Monsieur l'Abbe, a needy fellow, to spare his charge excessive pain, kept lessons light and rather plain, his views on morals ever mellow. He seldom punished any lark, and walked the boy in Letney Park. But when the age of restless turnings became in time our young man's fate, the age of hopes and tender yearnings, Monsieur l'Abbe was shown the gate, and here's Onegin, liberated, to fad and fashion newly mated, a London dandy, hair all curled. At last he's ready for the world. In French he could and did acutely express himself and even write. In dancing, too, his step was light, and bows he'd mastered absolutely. Who'd ask for more? The world could tell that he had wit and charm as well. We've all received an education in something somehow, have we not? So thank the Lord that in this nation a little learning means a lot. Onegin was, so some decided, strict judges not to be derided, a learned if pedantic sort. He did possess the happy fort of free and easy conversation, or in a grave dispute he'd wear the solemn expert's learned air, and keep to silent meditation, and how the ladies' eyes he lit with flashes of his sudden wit. The Latin vogue today is waning, and yet I'll say on his behalf, he had sufficient Latin training to gloss a common epigraph. Cite Juvenal in conversation, put Val in a salutation, and he recalled, at least in part, a line or two of Virgil's art. He lacked, it's true, all predilection for rooting in the ancient dust of history's annals full of must, but knew by heart a fine collection of anecdotes of ages past, from Romulus to Tuesday last. Lacking the fervent dedication that sees in sound life's highest quest, he never knew, to our frustration, a dactyl from an anapest. Theocritus and Homer bored him, but reading Adam Smith restored him. In economics he knew well, which is to say that he could tell the ways in which a state progresses, the actual things that make it thrive, and why for gold it need not strive, but basic products it possesses. His father never understood, and mortgaged all the land he could. I have no leisure for retailing the sum of all a hero's parts, but where his genius proved unfailing, the thing he learned above all arts, what from his prime had been his pleasure, his only torment, toil, and treasure, what occupied the livelong day, his languid spirit's fretful play, was love itself, the art of ardor, which Ovid sang in ages past, and for which song he paid at last, by ending his proud days a martyr in dim Moldova's vacant waste, far from the Rome his heart embraced. How early on he could dissemble, conceal his hopes, play jealous swain, compel belief or make her tremble, seem cast in gloom or meet with pain, appear so proud or so foreboding, at times attentive, then uncaring, what languor when his lips were sealed, what fiery art his speech revealed, what casual letters he would send her, he lived, he breathed one single dream, how oblivious he could seem, how keen his glance, how bold and tender, and when he wished, he'd make appear the quick summoned glistening tear. How shrewdly he could be inventive, and playfully astound the young, use flattery as a warm incentive, or frighten with despairing tongue. And how he'd seize a moment's weakness to conquer youthful virtue's meekness through force of passion and of sense, and then await sweet recompense. At first he'd beg a declaration, and listen for the heart's first beat, and stalk love faster, and entreat a lover's secret assignation, and then in part he'd prepare in silence to instruct the fair. How early he could stir or worry the hearts of even skilled coquettes, and when he found it necessary to crush a rival, oh, what nets, what clever traps he'd set before him, and how his wicked tongue would gore him. But you men in wedded bliss, you stayed his friends despite all this, the crafty husband fawned and chuckled, Fabulus's disciple and his tool, and as did the skeptical old fool, and the majestic antler cuckold, so pleased with all he had in life, himself, his dinner, and his wife. Some morning still abed he drowses, until his valet brings his tray. What, invitations? Yes, 3 houses have asked him to a grand soiree. There'll be a ball, a children's party. Where will he dash to, my good hearty? Where will he make the night's first call? Oh, never mind, he'll make them all. But meanwhile, dressed for morning pleasure, bedecked in broad-brimmed Bolivar, he drives to Nevsky Boulevard, to stroll about at total leisure, until Breguet's sleeping chime reminds him that it's dinner time. He calls a sleigh as daylight's dimming, the cry resounds, make way, let's go. His collar with its beaver trimming is silver bright with frosted snow. He's off to Talon's late and racing, quite sure he'll make caverns pacing. He enters, cork and bottle spout, the comet wine gushes out, a bloody roast beef's on the table, and truffles youth delight so keen, the very flower of French cuisine, and Strasbourg's pie, that deathless fable, whilst next to Limburg's lively mold sits ananas in splendid gold. Another round would hardly hurt them, to wash those sizzling cutlets down, but now the chime and watch alert them, the brand new ballet's on in town. He's off, this critic, most exacting of all that touches art or acting, this fickle swain of every star, an honored patron of the bar. To join the crowd where each is ready to greet an entr'achat with cheers, or Cleopatra with his jeers, to hiss at Phaedra so unsteady. Recall Moina and rejoice that everyone has heard his voice. Enchanted lad, there for a season, that friend of freedom ruled the scene, the daring satirist von Wiesen, as did derivative Zenen. There Ozerov received the nation's unbidden tears and its ovations, which young Semionova did share, and our Katenin gave us there. Corneille's full genius resurrected, and there the caustic Shakovskoy refreshed the stage with comic joy. Didelot, his crown of fame perfected, there too, beneath the theater's tent, my fleeting youthful days were spent. My goodness, you vanished faces, oh hearken to my woeful calls. Have other maidens gained your places, yet not replaced you after all? Shall once again I hear your chants, or see the Russian muse of dance perform her soaring soulful flight, or shall my mournful gaze alight on unknown faces on the stages, and when across this world I pass, a disenchanted opera glass? Shall I grow bored with mirths and rages, and shall I then, in silence, yawn and collect a time that's gone?